Success is not a matter of luck. It is a matter of design. It is a fundamental truth of the human experience that we get out of life exactly what we are willing to architect. Yet, there is a strange malady that affects the masses. I call it the vacation paradox. It is the peculiar phenomenon where a man will spend months researching the finest hotels in Tuscany, mapping out the cobblestone streets of Rome, and comparing the price of airfare down to the last penny. Yet he hasn't spent 20 minutes deciding where he wants his life to be in 5 years. Think about the intensity we bring to a 2-week summer holiday. We look at the brochures, we study the climate, we pack the right clothes for every possible occasion. We are meticulous, we are disciplined, we are visionary. But when the holiday is over and we return to the grind of our daily existence, that visionary spirit evaporates. We stop designing, we start drifting. And drifting is the first step toward a destination that no one in their right mind would choose. Nature has a way of taking over an untended garden. If you don't plant flowers and pull weeds, you won't get a blank space. You'll get weeds. Neglect is not neutral. It is a destructive force that fills the vacuum of an unplanned life. Most people are drifters by default. They wake up to the alarm clock of necessity, react to the demands of the day, and collapse into the sleep of exhaustion, only to repeat the cycle until the calendar tells them they are old. They didn't choose to fail, they simply failed to choose. If you don't design your own life plan, chances are you'll fall into someone else's plan. And guess what they have planned for you? Not much. The world is not set up to make you rich, or healthy, or happy. The world is set up to keep the wheels of commerce turning, and if you are not the driver of your own vehicle, you are merely a passenger in a bus driven by someone who doesn't even know your name. They don't care about your dreams, they care about their own bottom line. They need your labor to build their skyscraper. They need your consumption to fuel their growth. There is nothing inherently evil about this, but you must realize that you are an ingredient in someone else's recipe unless you start cooking for yourself. Most people live by a philosophy of hope. They hope things will get better. They hope the economy will change. They hope their boss will finally recognize their hidden genius. But hope is not a strategy. Luck is not a plan. You cannot wish your way to a better life. You must work your way there through the discipline of design. If you want the wind to take you to a specific port, you must set the sail. The wind blows on us all, but it is the set of the sail that determines the destination. Look at the Sunday night ritual. Most people spend their Sunday night mourning the end of the weekend. They feel that heavy weight in the pit of their stomach because Monday is looming. They distract themselves with television or social media, trying to squeeze the last few drops of leisure out of the clock. But the successful man, the man of iron wisdom, uses those 20 minutes on a Sunday night to look at the week ahead. He maps his battles before they begin. He doesn't go into Monday to see what happens. He goes into Monday to make things happen. 20 minutes. That's all it takes to separate the leaders from the followers. In those 20 minutes, you decide who you need to see, what calls you need to make, and what disciplines you must honor. You look at your major goals, the things that actually move the needle of your life, and you protect them. You schedule them first. If you don't plan your week, the week will plan you. You will find yourself reacting to emergencies instead of pursuing opportunities. You will be a firefighter, perpetually putting out the flames of other people's priorities, while your own house stands empty and cold. We must become students of our own lives. We must keep a journal. We must record our thoughts, our failures, and our small victories. If you don't track your progress, how do you know if you're winning? A pilot doesn't just take off and hope for the best. He constantly checks his instruments. He adjusts for the crosswinds. He monitors the fuel. Your life deserves at least as much attention as a transatlantic flight. You are the pilot, the navigator, and the engineer of your soul. A life unexamined is a life wasted. A life unrecorded is a life forgotten. Consider the ant. The ant has a simple but profound philosophy. Summer won't last forever. In the middle of the beautiful warm summer, the ant is busy. He's gathering. He's preparing. He's thinking about the winter. Most people are the opposite. In the summer of their lives, when they have health, energy, and opportunity, they act as if it will never end. They spend their summer planning vacations, while the winter of old age and economic shifts is quietly approaching. They consume everything they earn. They waste their peak hours on entertainment, and they assume the sun will never set. But the sun always sets. And when the winter arrives, the drifters are left out in the cold, wondering where all the luck went. You must learn to handle the seasons. You cannot change the seasons, but you can change yourself. You can't change the winter, but you can become stronger. You can't change the harvest, but you can become more skillful in the planting. This is the essence of life design. It is the recognition that while we cannot control the environment, we have absolute dominion over our response to it. But that dominion requires a blueprint. It requires a map. It requires you to sit down with a piece of paper and define your terms. What does winning look like for you? If you can't describe it, you'll never find it. When I talk about a life plan, I'm not talking about a rigid, boring document that sits in a drawer. I'm talking about a living, breathing vision. What do you want your bank account to look like? What do you want your body to look like? What kind of father or mother do you want to be? Clarity is power. The reason most people fail is not a lack of talent. It is a lack of direction. They are like a high-powered Ferrari with no steering wheel. They have the engine. They have the fuel. They have the potential to reach incredible speeds, but they have no way to guide that energy. So they just sit in the driveway, revving the engine until it burns out. Don't tell me you don't have the time. We all have the same 24 hours. The beggar and the billionaire both get 1,440 minutes a day. The difference is how we value them. If you can find time to browse travel websites for 3 hours on a Tuesday, you can find 20 minutes to plan your financial future. It's a matter of priorities. It's a matter of deciding that your life is more important than your leisure. Leisure is a reward for work, not a substitute for it. If you spend too much time planning your escape from life, you'll never build a life you don't want to escape from. Most people spend their lives waiting for the weekend so they can forget about their week. The elite spend their week building a life they never want to vacation from. Let's look at the someone else's plan again. Who are these people? It's the corporation that wants your labor for the lowest possible price. It's the bank that wants your interest payments. It's the media that wants your attention so they can sell it to advertisers. None of these entities are evil, but they are self-interested. If you are a blank slate, they will write their own story on you. They will decide your hours, your income, and your level of stress. They will plan your life for their benefit, not yours. They will tell you what to wear, what to drive, and what to think. And if you follow their plan, you will end up exactly where they want you, productive enough to be useful, but dependent enough to never leave. But when you step up and say, I am the architect, everything changes. You start to see opportunities where you once saw obstacles. You start to see that the Sunday night ritual is not a chore, but a liberation. It is the moment you take back the keys to your life. It is the moment you stop being a victim of circumstance and start being a creator of destiny. The iron wisdom is knowing that the only person responsible for your results is the person you see in the mirror. You cannot blame the economy. You cannot blame the government, and you cannot blame your boss. If the plan isn't working, it's not the world's fault. It's the plan's fault. And who wrote the plan? You did. Start small. Don't try to plan the next 50 years tonight. That's how people get overwhelmed and quit. Just plan the next 7 days. Look at your calendar and ask, does this activity move me toward my major goals, or is it just noise? Be brutal. Cut the fat. Eliminate the distractions that offer nothing but temporary comfort. Replace them with the disciplines that offer permanent growth. Every day is a brick. If you lay the bricks randomly, you'll end up with a pile of rubble. If you lay them with a blueprint, you'll end up with a cathedral. Success is a numbers game, but it's also a game of minutes. If you save 1 hour a day from the clutches of minor activities, that's 365 hours a year. That's 9 full work weeks given back to you. What could you do with 9 extra weeks a year? You could learn a language, build a business, or transform your health. Most people lose their lives in the margins. The 10 minutes here, the 30 minutes there, spent scrolling through the lives of others while their own life sits on the shelf. The architect guards those margins. He knows that the minor things will always try to scream louder than the major things, but he stays focused on the blueprint. You have the power to forge a new future. It starts with a pen and a piece of paper. It starts with the refusal to let another week go by in a blur of unplanned activity. It starts with the realization that your life is the most important project you will ever work on. More important than your job, more important than your house, and certainly more important than your 2-week vacation. Design it with intention. Build it with discipline. Forge it with the iron will of a man who knows where he is going. The world will try to pull you back into the crowd. The crowd is comfortable. The crowd is safe. But the crowd is also broke, tired, and unfulfilled. To step out of the crowd, you must have a plan that the crowd doesn't have. You must be willing to do the 20 minutes of thinking that the crowd refuses to do. You must be willing to look at the brochures of your own potential with the same excitement you look at the brochures of a Caribbean island. If you want what the 2% have, you must do what the 98% will not do. They will call you obsessed. They will call you intense. Let them. Their labels are just the sound of their own regret. Imagine the feeling of waking up on a Monday morning knowing exactly what you need to do. Imagine the confidence that comes from knowing you are on track. That is the gift of planning. It removes the anxiety of the unknown. It replaces fear with focus. When you have a plan, the obstacles don't disappear, but they become manageable. They become part of the terrain you expected to encounter, rather than surprises that knock you off course. If you know you have to cross a mountain to get to your destination, the mountain doesn't stop you. It just dictates the gear you bring. I want you to take this seriously. I want you to treat your life like a masterwork. Don't just let it happen, make it happen. Spend the time, do the work, review the results. If the plan isn't working, change the plan, but never change the goal. Your goal is a life of meaning, a life of contribution, and a life of abundance. That is the harvest that awaits those who are willing to do the hard work of planting the seeds of design. The soil doesn't care if you're a good person. It only cares if you planted the seed. The marketplace doesn't care about your intentions. It only cares about your value. And value is the result of a well-executed plan. Consider the concept of the day finished. Never start a day until it is finished on paper. Never start a week until it is finished on paper. Never start a month until it is finished on paper. This doesn't mean everything will go perfectly. It means you have a standard to return to when things go wrong. It means you have a North Star. Without it, you are just a leaf in the wind, and the wind doesn't care which way it blows you. But with a plan, you are the wind. In conclusion, Don't be the person who knows more about the flight schedule to Orlando than they do about their own retirement. Don't be the person who can navigate a foreign city but gets lost in their own career. Take the wheel, set the sail, write the script. This is your life, and the clock is ticking. You are the only one who can decide if the story of your life will be a tragedy of what could have been or an epic of what you made happen. Don't let someone else hold the pen. Don't let the noise of the world drown out the whisper of your own potential. Start your plan tonight and watch how the world moves aside to let you pass. The 2% are waiting for you, but they won't come down to get you. You have to climb, and you have to bring your own map. Now, go and draw it. The foundation of a great life is not found in a grand explosion of luck, but in the quiet, methodical assembly of moments. We have talked about the architecture of the week, but let us zoom in even further. Let us look at the architecture of the hour. The 98% lose their lives in the cracks of the day. They have 15 minutes between meetings and they spend it scrolling. They have 20 minutes of a commute and they spend it listening to the complaints of a radio host. They have an hour in the evening and they give it to a glowing screen that provides them with nothing but a temporary escape from a reality they haven't bothered to design. The 2% look at those cracks differently. To the architect, a 15-minute window is not a void to be filled with noise. It is a workshop. It is time to read 2 pages of a book that sharpens the mind. It is time to make 1 phone call that strengthens a partnership. It is time to sit in silence and review the blueprint. If you want to see the future of a man, don't look at his long-term goals. Look at how he handles his Tuesday afternoon at 2 p.m. That is where the battle is won or lost. You must develop the skill of selection. In the modern world, the problem isn't a lack of information. It's an overabundance of distraction. There are 1,000 voices shouting for your attention, your money, and your time. If you do not have a filter, if you do not have a design, you will be consumed by the trivial. You must learn to say no to the good so you can say yes to the great. Most people fail because they try to do everything and end up accomplishing nothing. They are a mile wide and an inch deep. The elite are an inch wide and a mile deep. They pick their major objectives and they defend them with a ferocity that the crowd finds intimidating. Let's talk about the mental diet. Just as the body is the result of the food you eat, the mind is the result of the ideas you consume. If you feed your mind a steady diet of gossip, fear, and entertainment, you will develop a junk food philosophy. You will be weak when the winter comes. But if you feed your mind the thoughts of the masters, if you study the laws of economics, the principles of leadership, and the history of those who have paved the way, you will develop a mind of iron. You will see patterns where others see chaos. You will see opportunity where others see disaster. The architecture of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts, and you are the only one who can control the inventory. The crowd will tell you that you're being too hard on yourself. They'll say, "Relax, life is meant to be enjoyed." And they are right, but they have the definition of enjoyment wrong. True enjoyment is not the absence of effort. It is the presence of achievement. It is the deep, soul-level satisfaction of knowing you did your best, you honored your plan, and you moved the needle. There is no fun in being broke at 65. There is no enjoyment in looking back at a life of wasted potential. The greatest joy in life is the feeling of progress. Even if you are far from the goal, the act of moving toward it provides a level of happiness that leisure can never touch. Consider the power of review. At the end of every day, the architect sits down with his journal. He doesn't just go to bed, he conducts an audit. He asks, "What did I do today that moved me closer to my vision? Where did I fall short? Did I let a minor activity take the place of a major one? Who did I help? What did I learn? This is the process of refinement. If you don't review the day, you are destined to repeat its mistakes. But if you review, you can adjust. You can tighten the sail. You can sharpen the tool. The 98% live the same day 10,000 times and call it a life. The 2% live 10,000 different days, each one a slight improvement over the last. You must also master the art of environment. You are a product of your surroundings. If your desk is a mess, your mind will be a mess. If your home is full of distractions, your focus will be fractured. The elite design their environment to support their disciplines. They remove the temptations. They place their books where they can see them. They surround themselves with people who speak the language of growth. If you find it hard to stay disciplined, stop relying on willpower and start relying on design. Change the room and you will change the result. Let's look at the value of conflict. Most people avoid conflict. They avoid the hard conversation with the boss, the difficult talk with the spouse, or the brutal honesty required with themselves. But the architect knows that conflict is the forge of growth. A plan that hasn't been tested by the fire of reality is just a daydream. You must be willing to face the things that scare you. You must be willing to lean into the discomfort. The reason the 2% reach the top is not that they have no fear. It's that they have a plan for their fear. They use fear as a compass. If something scares them, they know it's exactly what they need to do next to grow. Don't be deceived by the slow erosion. Failure doesn't usually happen in a single catastrophic event. It is a slow process of small neglects. It's the one day you didn't plan. It's the one book you didn't read. It's the $1 you didn't save. It's the one phone call you didn't make. These things seem small in the moment. You think, one day won't matter. But the days add up. The weeks become months. The months become years. And one day, you wake up and realize you are 40 miles off course and you don't have enough fuel to get back. The architecture of failure is built with the bricks of not today. Conversely, the architecture of success is built with the bricks of right now. It is the relentless accumulation of small wins. It is the 20 minutes on a Sunday. It is the one extra mile. It is the refusal to let a minor distraction derail a major objective. Success is a boring process of doing the right things over and over again until the momentum becomes unstoppable. The crowd wants the overnight success, the lottery win, the magic pill. But the elite know that the only magic is the compounding effect of daily discipline. You must learn to work the plan. Having a plan is the first step, but executing it is where the iron is forged. There will be days when the plan feels heavy. There will be days when you don't want to look at the journal. There will be days when the wind is blowing so hard you want to drop the sail and hide in the hull. Those are the days that count the most. Anyone can follow a plan when the sun is shining and the sea is calm. But the captain is made in the storm. When you follow the plan despite your feelings, you are training your character. You are telling your subconscious mind that your word is law. You are building the resolve that will eventually make you untouchable. Let's talk about the legacy of design. What are you building? Is it just a bank account? Is it just a career? Or is it a life that will serve as a blueprint for others? The greatest gift you can give your children, your community, and the world is the example of a life well lived. When you design your life, you are showing others what is possible. You are proving that a human being is not a victim of the wind, but a master of the sail. Your success becomes a permission slip for others to seek their own greatness. That is the ultimate harvest. That is the iron wisdom in its highest form. Do not be intimidated by the gap between where you are and where you want to be. The canyon only looks wide because you are looking at the other side instead of looking at the next step. The bridge is built one plank at a time. Today, the plank is your plan. Tonight, the plank is your review. Tomorrow, the plank is your discipline. You don't have to build the whole bridge today. You just have to make sure the plank you lay is solid and that it's pointed in the right direction. Remember the law of association we discussed before, but apply it to your plan. Show your plan to someone you respect, not to a crowd person who will tell you it's too hard, but to an elite person who will ask you why it isn't bigger. Surround yourself with people who hold you to a higher standard than you hold yourself. If you are the most disciplined person in your circle is too small. You need to be around people whose normal is your extraordinary. This will force you to sharpen your design. It will force you to think bigger, act faster, and become more. The clock is the only enemy that cannot be defeated, but it can be befriended. If you respect time, time will reward you. If you waste time, time will haunt you. The seconds are ticking away right now. They are the raw material of your destiny. You can turn them into gold through design, or you can turn them into dust through drift. The choice is yours, but you must make it now. You cannot wait for the perfect moment to start your plan. The perfect moment is a myth designed by the lazy to justify their delay. The only moment you have is this one. Take the pen, open the journal, look at the next 7 days. Who do you want to be by next Sunday? What do you want to have accomplished? What minor things are you going to cut out? What major things are you going to protect? Write it down, commit to it. And when the alarm goes off tomorrow morning, don't ask yourself how you feel. Feelings are for the 98%. The 2% have a plan, and they execute that plan with the cold, hard certainty of a machine. This is the path of the architect. It is a path of responsibility, of discipline, and of immense reward. It is the only path that leads to the top of the mountain. The view from the summit is reserved for those who were willing to map the climb while everyone else was busy complaining about the weather. You have the map, you have the compass, you have the iron will. Now get to work. Start your plan tonight. Finish it on paper, and then go out into the world and build the masterpiece you were born to create. The world is waiting for your design. Don't let it wait a second longer. I'll see you at the top.